So on the subject of brands, power wire and brand names that's a tough space to get into, because a lot of people feel very defensive about their choices in branding, and it's understandable. But what I try to do on this channel is be very neutral in that regard, and I test items and technology and equipment based on what it can and cannot do, how capable it is at doing its job and far beyond its job, and not really what brand is best, but what equipment is best. That said, in the most recent video I uploaded, I did a test where I took and exposed multiple different wire, all used for car audio installs and other installs, and exposed them to extremely high amounts of heat, far beyond the heat that they'll ever experience in the average install. And the reason is that all of them are capable of doing the basic job. All of these wires are capable of being good conductors and conducting electricity from point A to point B, which is their job. And they can all do it very safely. What I wanted to find out was if and which of these brands were capable of handling a much more extreme environment. And whenever you pushed it to the extreme environment, the welding wire tends to hold up much better. It's a more durable casing and a more durable design. As you can see in my build, I'm using GP America series for power wire and ground wire. Also using GP Diamond Edition for power wire and ground wire. And I have, what is that? Oh yeah, I think I don't remember what brand this is that I've got running. I think it's actually a welding cable that I've got running from front to back. And again, more Diamond Edition down here. Some Stinger power wire over here. So, you know, and this is New Concepts. Yeah, that's New Concepts power wire that I'm using for speaker wire. So you ask, well, you know, I'm not running welding wire back here right now. None of it, except for, I think these two runs right here are welding wire. But that said, what's the point in worried about how durable it can be and how much you can push it, how far beyond the limit you can push it? So as you can see in the image, all the different wires I have lined up here, and of that group, the GP America series seems to be the one with the largest amount of copper in the actual wire. And so if I were going to judge based on the copper content of the wire, which is the other functionality, the other metric, and probably the most important metric, is that I would judge the GP America series as being top dog in that. Now, if I'm looking at flexibility, the Sky High and the New Concepts both have extremely high flexible wire. Some of these also have tinned copper, whereas others have pure copper. The tinned copper always going to offer better corrosion resistance. So when you're looking at the last video, you can see some of the wires have tinned copper. New Concepts is one of them. Has tinned copper, and it's going to help fight corrosion at the cable ends where the connections where they're connecting at. There's a lot of different metrics you can judge the wires based on. What I'm doing in that video is primarily showing worst case scenario, where we take it way, way, way beyond what wire will keep it together in those bad cases. We've all seen the vehicles get burned to the ground. We've all seen the fires. The question is, would a less melty casing prevent some of those fires? Or would that more durable casing prevent it from ever starting to begin with? For example, if something punctured a power wire, a piece of metal that's connected to the ground tries to puncture a power wire, a more durable casing is going to prevent that. And you have to consider that the power wires and ground wires are also going to be heated up to an extent, possibly doing their job. They won't be nowhere near as hot as what I got them, not even remotely close, but they will be warmer than normal. So all of these things are the normal operation. What I did was take it to an extreme to find out just how tough the toughest of those wires really are. And if you're looking for the most durable, ridiculously tough, extremely hard to damage wire out there, it's going to be welding wire. That stuff takes metric tons of abuse. It is literally designed to take lots of heat, lots and lots and lots of heat, lots of abrasion, chemical spills, all kinds of things, and prevent that casing from melting down. Whereas car audio wire is designed to be flexible, easy to work with, soft and flexible, because that's what people want, with a minimal of consideration towards how tough it is as far as chemicals and heat and abrasion. Abrasion is actually pretty good. As long as the wire's not crazy hot, it'll handle abrasion well. And I'm speaking for all the car audio wire, all of it, because they all have similar characteristics. They're all, probably the most emphasis is put on flexibility and abrasion, which are the two most important characteristics that those wires would encounter. But I'm like, well, okay, if they can all do that well, what's the next step? Where does one exceed over the other? You see what I mean? So if all the car audio cable can handle lots of abrasion and can be flexible enough to install and work with, what's the next thing? What makes one better than the other, right? And that's where I think doing tests that take it far beyond what it's intended to do can open it up and tease out those slightly better versions of each wire, right? The other metric I would use to measure wire, of course, would be the diameter of the core of the copper. How much copper is in that sucker? And since copper is the most expensive part of that component of that cable, it would behoove companies to hold back on how much copper they're putting in a wire. And if we're judging on that metric, companies like Sky High, GP, and Sundown all give us a nice amount of copper. I do think that GP's America Series has the highest copper content. Just visually looking at it, it's got a lot more copper in there than the other guys do. So if you're looking for your purely copper content, the GP America Series is going to have, your bountiful basket of copper. And also, if you're wanting to stay in the car audio wire range, the America Series doesn't tend to burn whenever I throw the heat to it. It melts, but it doesn't burn. So it stays a rubbery material even after it melts and cools back down. Whereas the other wires tended to turn into a black, crispy, crunchy stuff. And it will not turn back into an insulator when it's cooled down, where the GP wire, both of them would. There's no real way to judge one or the other as to how good a thing is whenever there's so many different variables involved in making that judgment. And it also depends on what characteristics you're looking for. So that's what we're trying to tease out with these videos. You can pick and choose what you're looking for. There you go, baby. That's it.